When I was younger, around 9 or 10, my family moved from a little house on the outskirts of town to a much larger one in town. Right away my family noticed some weird occurrences in this new home. At first, it was just little things. Keys would be missing only to end up on the counter. Then, it was hearing children's footsteps running up and down the stairs at 1 a.m. One night, my dad heard what sounded like a glass cup fall from a cabinet and spin around on the kitchen floor. He grabbed a baseball bat, thinking it was an intruder, and cautiously made his way downstairs. He walked down the hallway to the kitchen and sure enough, he found a glass cup sitting upright on the floor, still intact. My younger brother and I would experience things such as cold drafts in a seemingly hot room, windows slightly open when no one was home, and losing items we had had 5 minutes ago. However, one night, my younger brother and I woke up due to night terrors. We both walked the long hallway to my parents' room and woke up my dad, who let us sleep in his bed. He couldn't fit in the bed with us and my mom in it, so he went to my room since I had a bigger bed. My father says that he immediately noticed that my room was freezing cold, despite the heat being on high. He thought nothing of it and laid down in my bed. He tossed and turned, and right before he fell asleep, he says he felt someone lean down and he heard a woman's voice in his ear say, "Don't worry. Your kids are all right." My dad sat up and didn't fall asleep until early the next morning. The activity only worsened after that. TVs were being turned on and lights flickered whenever anybody walked into the room. Not to mention huge murders of crows would gather in our backyard, watching us with their beady eyes. But there was one experience that shook everybody up. My grandmother used to do oil paintings and she gave my mother this beautiful painting of someone standing in an abandoned temple in a forest. My mother hung the painting in the dining room for all to see. One night, at 3 a.m., my parents heard a loud commotion in the dining room. They both ran downstairs and looked around but they couldn't find anything. The next morning, my parents discovered my grandmother's painting underneath the dining room table, hanging to the frame, by one wire. The crazy part is that all the chairs were pushed in, making such a task almost impossible. But the worst encounter was my personal one. It was late October and I was excited for All Hallows' Eve. I went to bed later than usual, it was a Friday after all. In the middle of the night, I woke up from a deep sleep in a cold sweat. I could feel a presence in the room and I did not like it. I looked to the corner by my closet and saw the most terrifying thing. It was a 7 feet tall completely black shadow with glowing, yellow eyes. It had long, sharp fingers. I laid in bed frozen. I closed my eyes tight and tried to ignore. I ended up falling into a fitful sleep. My family has since moved from that house. But I still remember those lingering yellow eyes. This content was provided by Angelo Tricar.